Bob went scuba diving for his birthday. He got to see the rich marine life of Florida's ocean, but when he was down there, he hit his head on a coral reef. Now, it turned out that Bob was fine, except for the fact that he had lost a bit of his short-term memory. When he arrived home, there were 3 beautiful women waiting for him. Hey, it was his birthday. They all claimed that they were his wife. Well, take a look at the image. Can you help Bob figure out who is really his wife? It's the second woman on the right. If you look closely, you'll see she's wearing the same gold ring that Bob's wearing. Henry is the CEO of his own company. Have a look at the picture. One of these ladies is Henry's sister. Can you figure out who? Although he's looking at the woman on the right, his sister is on the left. They both have the same birthmark on their necks. Good eye, if you caught that. There was a recent break-in at Mr. Frank's grocery store. Luckily, the security cameras captured everything. Mr. Frank called in Detective Harper to crack the case. Harper noticed one small but very important detail that solved the mystery. Take a peek at the images Detective Harper reviewed. Can you figure out who the thief is? Let's see. That guy is just carrying around a baguette. The one near the fridge has normal groceries in her cart. And the last guy is holding a lettuce in his hands. But hey, take a look at the lettuce. It has such a weird shape. In fact, it has a banana inside of it. That guy was trying to sneak out with a banana and a lettuce. He's the thief, definitely. And a weird one. It's finals week at Crestwood Academy, and the tension is sky high. Check out the classroom and see if you can figure out who is cheating. It's the student with the smartwatch. He's looking at his watch to get the answers to the exam. Mrs. Bells has 3 sons. She is the best cook in the family, and she loves to make her family amazing dinners. Her sons love her, but say she keeps giving the best food to her favorite son. Examine the image carefully. Can you figure out who is her favorite son? It's the one in the middle. While all the other boys have a food plate in front of them, the little guy in the middle is already eating dessert. She gave him the best first. Bibi, Jenna, Miriam, and Jackie were called to the CEO's office for a meeting. It started to rain just before the meeting, and one of the ladies got in at the last minute. Their shoes got wet, and they stained the boss's carpet. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who stained his carpet? It was Miriam, the third lady in the middle. She is the one wearing high-heeled shoes, and if you look closely, that's the shape that matches the footprints. It was Paula's wedding, and everyone was beyond excited. One of the bridesmaids just caught the bouquet and was happily talking to the other ladies about it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out which one of them caught it? It's the lady on the left. If you notice, she's surrounded by bees, who were attracted by the flower's pollen. It was Ricky's birthday, and he invited his best friends to go camping with him. The weather was perfect, so they decided to get a group picture next to the lake. Take a look at the picture. Can you figure out which of these 2 people are a couple? If you look closely, the first girl on the left and the boy in the middle have matching tattoos. They have a cute little heart tattooed in different parts of their bodies. They're definitely a couple. Sarah is getting married, and she invited her bridesmaids for a dress fitting. One of the bridesmaids is pregnant, though. Can you figure out who? Oh, it's the lady eating the pie, of course. She's definitely having one of those irresistible cravings. Sandy and Priscilla met for afternoon tea, and one of the ladies took Jake, her younger son, along. Can you figure out who Jake's biological mother is just by looking at the picture? It's Sandy, the woman on the left. She's got the same hair color as Jake. Jenny's living large, and Lana's just scraping by. Take a look at the snapshot of both of them in their apartments. Can you tell who's who? Lana's on the left. Even though her place looks pretty stylish, all the decor still has the price tags on it. She's probably planning to return everything after snapping that picture. Alex and Jordan finally decided to get married after dating for 5 years. On their wedding day, just before the ceremony was about to start, Jordan asked Alex to grab a bracelet from her dressing room, the one he gave her on their first anniversary. But when Alex walked in, something super weird happened. 3 Jordans were standing before him, all looking exactly the same. Since Jordan's uncle was a bit of a mad scientist, Alex immediately suspected he'd cloned her. Take a look at the picture. Can you figure out which one is the real Jordan? It's the third one. She's got the same bracelet that Alex always wears. Looks like Jordan's uncle forgot to clone that small detail. Alfie told Jen he'd been assigned to a top-secret mission in a remote desert. Just couldn't keep it secret, I guess. Super excited about the opportunity, they decided to try out a long-distance relationship. Jen asked him to send lots of photos, and he did. But after seeing the pics, Jen realized something was off and called it quits. How did Jen figure out Alfie was cheating? One of the last pics that Alfie sent had palm trees in the background, but there aren't any palm trees in the desert. Plus, the photos of the animals, there were kangaroos and koalas, which definitely don't live in the desert. Looks like Alfie faked the pics and wasn't where he said he was. Oh, and in one of the photos, there's a lipstick smudge on his shirt. Uh-oh. Ed's mom was responsible for overseeing the catering of his wedding. She went inside the kitchen to check if everything was okay, but came outside screaming. Can you guess what made her so mad? Look at the top of the cake. There are 2 statues of creepy-looking elves instead of the bride and groom. She wanted them to fix that immediately. Your cousin invites you to an amusement park called Funland Frenzy. When you arrive, the ticket seller says there's a rule you must figure out before you can enter. They give you a few clues. At Funland Frenzy, there are roller coasters, but no bumper cars. There is cotton candy, but no popcorn. There is pizza with cheese, but not pizza with sausage. Can you figure out the rules of Funland Frenzy just with this info? The rule is that only things with double consonants are allowed. So, cotton candy, roller coasters, and pizza are in, and the rest are out.
Andrew and John went to the city. On their way there, they met Jack, and the 3 men decided to travel together. When they took a break, Jack asked his companions to share some food with him. He had 8 coins, while Andrew had 5 loaves of bread, and John had 3 loaves of bread. The guys divided all that bread equally between the 3 of them. After they had a meal, Jack divided the money fairly. How did he do it? Jack gave Andrew 7 coins, and John got from him just 1 coin. The thing is, the men divided each loaf of bread this way, into 3 pieces. Altogether, they had 24 pieces. Andrew had 15 pieces of bread. He ate 8 of them himself and gave 7 to Jack. John had 9 pieces of bread. He ate 8 of them and gave the remaining one to Jack. So Jack gave 1 coin for each piece of bread. 7 coins to Andrew, who had given him 7 pieces of bread, and 1 coin to John for that 1 piece of bread he had shared. Anna was walking home from work when she heard screams coming from a nearby house. She immediately rushed in to help. What a bad idea, Anna. Anyway, she followed the voice and it guided her to a basement. As soon as she walked in, the door slammed shut. Huh. Told ya, a very bad idea. 3 portals opened in front of her, but only one led to safety. The first portal was filled with giant poisonous spiders. In the second portal, there was a huge suspended rock that would come crashing down the moment someone stepped in. And in the third portal, there were 7 hungry crocodiles. Which portal should Anna opt for? Anna should pick the second portal. She can throw her shoe inside, wait for the terrible stone to fall, and then escape. Michael was walking along the street when a sealed envelope landed near his feet. Inside, there was a key and a note. Help! 323. Inside the building, Michael found door 323 and used the key to open it. A man, gagged and tied to a chair, was inside. Once free, the man told Michael that 2 men had broken into his office, tied him up, and taken all the money from his safe. Luckily, his hands were free, and he managed to write the note and throw it together with the key out of the window. Michael didn't believe the man and called the police. Why? The envelope was sealed. How could the man do it if he was gagged? Sarah bought some ice cream on Saturday but kept the flavors a secret. When she woke up on Sunday, all the ice cream was gone. She asked everyone in the house if they knew anything about that. James answered he had gone to work early that morning and hadn't seen anything. Mary said she wanted to have a new caramel ice cream in the afternoon. She felt bad she was going to miss it. John didn't even know there was ice cream in the house, but he was looking forward to trying it. Can you figure out who knows something about the missing ice cream? It's Mary. The ice cream flavors were a secret. She couldn't be sure if there was a caramel taste among them. Look at these people very attentively. There's an elderly man wearing a monocle sitting at a table with a plate of expensive steak. At the same time, he's dressed in simple clothing with obvious signs of wear. Then, we've got a businessman wearing an expensive suit, but it has small coffee stains on it. He's eating a simple sandwich. There's also a briefcase full of money next to the man, and he looks slightly dressed. As for this artist, he's dressed in a basic work overall with paint stains. He's drawing on a tablet, and there's a plate with a lobster in front of him. On his neck, there's quite a large gold chain. Now the question is, which of these men is actually rich? Even though the elderly man is eating an expensive dish and wearing a monocle, his worn-out shoes and simple clothing suggest he doesn't have a lot of funds. The businessman is indeed wearing an expensive suit and has a briefcase full of money. But the coffee stains on his suit and his untidy tie hint that he may not actually be wealthy. Plus, he's eating a very simple sandwich. He might be cutting corners on personal expenses. As for the artist, he stands out with his gold chain and a luxurious lobster dish in front of him. Combined with his focus on the cutting-edge tablet, it all suggests that he is the wealthiest. Wealthy businessman Jeff walked into his home office one day and realized that his safe was gone. He immediately called the police to find out who had done it, but everyone in the house had an alibi. Amy, Jeff's wife, said she'd been working out at the gym that morning. The cleaner answered that she had been cleaning the basement and hadn't heard anything. The cook told the police he had been in the kitchen all day preparing meals and never left it. The police immediately figured the case out. Can you do the same? It's the cook. He said he'd never left the kitchen, but look, his shoes are muddy. Mary, Jane, Chris, and Sally were on the train. It was only them and the conductor checking their tickets in the car. Without warning, the lights went out. When they switched on again, Sally was missing. Everyone started looking for her, but they only found her phone and one of her earrings. The conductor started asking questions. Mary said she had been in the other part of the car when the lights had gone out. Jane answered that she had been sleeping at the time. Chris said he'd been reading a book and hadn't seen anything. Who's lying? It's Chris. He couldn't be reading if the lights were out. Maya was a talented scientist who researched new species of frogs. She put all the frogs she had in 3 tanks, N, L, and R. The letters on the tanks stood for the conditions in each tank: no light, light, and regular. In the R tank, there were twice as many frogs as in the L tank. One day, Maya removed 7 frogs from the tank on the right and placed half of the remaining frogs into the N tank. Your task is to figure out what the marking letter of the right tank is. Let's think logically. This letter can't be N because Maya put the frogs into the N tank, so it's either L or R. But we should keep in mind that Maya removed 7 frogs and then split the number in half, which means the right tank had an odd number of frogs before she took those 7 out. But we know that there were twice as many frogs in the R tank than in the L tank, which means that the number of frogs in the R tank was originally even. So the right tank must be the L tank. Kelly got into a car accident and lost her memory. When she recovered, she found out that she was a very popular girl at school and everyone wanted to date her. One day, 3 guys showed up in the hospital and each of them claimed to be her boyfriend. Please help Kelly understand who's telling the truth. The clue is hidden in the pictures by Kelly's bed. In the first one, she's with her family. But in the other picture, she's with a guy who looks exactly like the boy on the left. So, he must be her boyfriend. Several police officers were called to a hotel after one of the employees was found unconscious on the floor. The police checked the cameras to figure out what had happened. They had 3 suspects, all of them hotel guests. Sarah said she had heard some commotion and left because she got scared. James told the police that he'd been outside ordering a taxi to go sightseeing. And John said he'd been sleeping at home. Can you understand who's lying? It's John. He was a guest at the hotel. Then how could he be at home sleeping? Once, an expedition set up camp in the middle of a desert. They decided to spend a few days in that place. But when they woke up, their truck had disappeared. Luckily, they had enough food to last a week, but no power and little water. 3 days later, one of the members of the expedition disappeared. The leader of the team questioned the remaining people. Logan said he'd been walking around the camp trying to find water. Joanna said she'd been playing games on her smartphone. Samantha claimed she'd been sleeping all day long to save energy. And Nick said he'd been preparing a report in his tent. Can you figure out who's lying? Joanna isn't telling the truth. Within 3 days, her phone would have already run out of battery. And the expedition doesn't have any power, remember?
Oh.
James was walking near the river in the evening when a group of people dressed in black and wearing masks grabbed him. The leader told James that he had 3 options. They could throw him into the sea with hungry piranhas. He could choose to get dumped into the ocean swarming with sharks, or he could opt for a river with hippos. What option should James pick to survive? Piranhas only live in fresh water. The guy should pick the sea with piranhas.
Yeah!
Ah, look at the groom. It seems he might not live long enough to become a husband.
Oh, no.
One of these ladies has bitten him. Which one was it? It was Lady C. Look at her ears. She doesn't seem to be human.
Oh.
Look at these 2 pictures and try to figure out who is the robot here. Despite their unusual tattoos, the girls are humans. The robot is actually the cat in the picture on the right. Have you noticed that it's charging through a USB port on its side?
Oh.
Students knew they would have an exam on Monday, but their professor refused to tell them the exact time. Every time they asked, they got a weird reply. If 11 plus 2 equals 1, 10 plus 6 equals 4. If you manage to figure out the answer, you won't miss the exam. Do you know when the students should meet with their professor? At 4 p.m. 11 o'clock plus 2 hours is 1 p.m. Then 10 o'clock and 6 hours is 4 p.m.
Oh.
Look at these seemingly wealthy women. In reality, one of them is just pretending to be rich. Which one is it? It's the lady on the left. Her bag is fake. The label claims it's Goosey when it's supposed to be Gucci.
Oh my god.
Mark is locked in a room. There are 4 doors there. The guy has entered through one of them and he can't use it again. The first door leads to the room with high voltage wires hanging above the wet floor. Behind the second door, there's a water-filled room swarming with sharks. And the third door hides a room where acid flesh-melting rain is falling from the ceiling. Which door is the least dangerous and can give Mark a chance to escape? Mark should opt for the first door. It'll be safe if Mark doesn't let his body come into contact with the wires and the wet floor at the same time. Now, try to crack this tricky riddle. It's nothing but holes tied to other holes. At the same time, this thing is as strong as steel but not as stiff as a pole. So what's your idea? What is it? It's a chain. Two people were born at the exact same time but have different birth dates. How is it even possible? These people were born in different time zones in different places in the world. Now you have to think outside the box to crack this one. 1 is to 3 as 3 is to 5, and 5 is to 4. And 4 is the magic number. Can you figure out the pattern? The word 1 has 3 letters, the word 3 has 5, and the word 5 consists of 4 letters. But the word 4 has 4 letters in it. And whatever number you try, eventually you'll come back to 4. And the game will end there. Mira inherited an old house from her granddad. When she was exploring the cellar, she came across a massive wooden door. She opened it and saw a small room with 3 bags and a note. One of the bags has $1 million and the others are empty. You can only open one bag, so think carefully. Mira also noticed there was a message on each bag. The first bag claimed, "The cash is not here." The message on the second bag was, "The cash is not here." And the third bag said, "The cash is in the second bag." If only one message is true, which bag has the money? The money can't be in the second or third bags. If it was so, then 2 messages would be true. It means the money is in the first bag. William took part in a game show and ended up as one of the 2 contestants to make it to the finals. He came up to the table with 3 cups on it, but only one of these drinks was safe to try. The other 2 were poisoned, and even though a mistake wouldn't cost William his life, the consequences would be unpleasant. The drinks were tea with sugar, cappuccino, and hot chocolate. Which one should William choose? If it was indeed sugar in the tea, it would have already melted completely. But it didn't happen. Cappuccino looks suspiciously green. It's probably unsafe to drink. William opted for the hot chocolate and won the challenge. Look at these people walking along the sea attentively. One of them isn't human. Who is it? It's the young guy in the middle. He has no shadow. Creepy. When you look for something, you always find it in the last place where you search. Why is that? It's always the last place where you look, because after this, you stop your search. One of these ladies is a sporty man's wife. How long will it take you to guess which one it is? It's the girl who doesn't have a helmet, because her helmet is waiting for her on her husband's bike. All of these people seem to be terribly sick. Oh, I see. It's the maid. She's poisoned them. But what if I tell you that one of these people is actually faking poisoning, trying to save their life? Can you figure out who it is?
Oh my god!
It's the woman on the left wearing a red dress. She hasn't even touched her drink. Look at these ladies very attentively. One of them has stolen a watermelon. Can you understand which one it is? It's the woman on the right. The watermelon is actually peeking through her clothes. You're walking through a forest when you see a big lake. In the middle of the lake, you notice 3 cages floating on the surface. Inside, there are 3 people. Adam's cage is blocked by a huge chunk of ice. Luke's cage is locked with a massive padlock. And on top of Helen's cage, there's a container with boiling water. You can help only one of them. Who should you pick? You should choose to help Luke. The ice-blocking Adam's cage will melt sooner or later, the boiling water will evaporate, and Helen will be able to escape, but Luke won't get out of the cage on his own. Two identical vans were crossing the bridge when it collapsed. The cars fell into the water and started to sink. Luckily, the drivers were unharmed, but they had to figure out how to get to the surface really fast because the vans started to fill with water. One of the drivers began to push the closest door, and the other tried to open the side door. Who has a higher chance of survival? The first driver won't be able to open the door because of the water pressure, but the side door in the second car is a sliding door. With some effort, the second driver will be able to open it and escape. A billionaire called Mr. Van Louis realizes he's living his last days. He decides to leave all his huge fortune to someone. After thinking it over, he's left with 7 candidates. Each person is different from the others. Each has their own motives and merits, and each and every one of them has some hidden secrets. Before making the final decision, Mr. Louis decides to listen to the candidates' life stories to figure out who truly deserves the inheritance. But keep in mind that not everything is as it seems, and sometimes it's the loveliest people who hide the darkest secrets. But before we eavesdrop on the conversations the billionaire is having with his nearest and dearest, let's sneak a peek at the characters and life stories of these people. The first on the list is 40-year-old Alex, Van's eldest son. At first sight, he's a successful businessman, just like his father. Since childhood, he's always been trying to please Mr. Louis, and now he's sick and tired of his image of a good son. It might be the reason why his business is in deep crisis, and the situation is so bad that the word bankruptcy has already been whispered. But is Alex desperate enough to do something unforgivable? We'll see. Maria is 35 years old. She's the middle daughter and a talented artist. Unlike her elder brother, she's always been independent, which caused a rift between her and Alex. But even though she looks cheerful and carefree, she's in debt and currently experiences too much drama in her life. She hopes that the inheritance can help her fix her career and recover from a financial setback. John, Mr. Louis' 33-year-old youngest son, is disabled. But despite the limitations of his own body, he's a doctor, and a good one at that. He is devoted to his profession and spends most of his time in hospital helping people. Van has known his best friend, Helen, since they were kids. Helen is 65 years old, and she's been with him through many ups and downs. At the moment, she's working as a volunteer, helping those in need. She hopes she'll get the inheritance. She's always speaking of opening her own shelter for homeless animals. Peter, who is 50 years old, is Van's trusted business partner and confidant, who has always helped Mr. Louis in all his endeavors. Peter seems to be dedicated to his work, and it might even be true. But his true intention is to take over Van's company after the man passes away. Is Peter eager enough to speed up this process? We'll see, I guess. Anna is 28 years old, and she's Mr. Louis' housemaid. She's been working for him since she was 20 and has earned a reputation of a modest and hard-working young woman. Anna has got a small son, and she dreams that he will study in the best college in the country. That inheritance could come in handy. And finally, we've got Max, Mr. Louis' bodyguard, who is 37 years old. Even though he's extremely charming, Max seems to be the black sheep, since he spent 7 years in jail when he was younger. No one but Mr. Louis knows the real depth of his crimes. Max seems to regret his past and does everything to make amends. Now, let's sneak into the billionaire's bedroom, where he speaks to all these people in turn. When Alex enters, his father doesn't waste a second.
I know about the problems with business you're experiencing. I don't think leaving you all my money will save the day.
Alex objects. I must admit that my company is nearing bankruptcy, but what you don't know is I have my own charity fund, which needs a lot of funding. I really need this money to keep helping people." Maria carefully enters her father's bedroom and greets him. She says,
"Dad, I'm so sorry I haven't been by your side recently."
The billionaire remarks,
Yes, I know you've been very busy with your social life.
"It's not that. I opened a school for young artists and was busy there."
Is this explanation enough to excuse a daughter neglecting her father? We'll see. John slowly and clumsily enters his father's room. He heavily sits in the chair near Van's bed. "Dad, I'm so sorry to hear about your state. If only I could help you." Mr. Louis interrupts him.
Even if you could, you wouldn't, because you're the reason for my condition.
John is terribly shocked. "What are you talking about?"
Don't play innocent. Now I know you've been poisoning me for years. You've got access to rare medicines and you use it to your advantage.
Exasperated, Van Louis invites the next visitor. Helen enters with a sad expression on her face.
"My dearest friend, I'm so sorry to see you like this. I'm also sorry I didn't visit. I was busy at the volunteer center."
But the billionaire doesn't seem to be happy to see her.
Do you think I don't know about your gambling addiction? I know what you want to spend my money on after I pass away. Definitely not on an animal shelter.
After all that shouting, Peter feels nervous. He suspects that Van knows about his plans and dishonest schemes. And he's right. But what he hears next makes him freeze.
Peter, my loyal partner. I know you wanted to lay your hands on my business, but I also know that recently you've abandoned this idea. I'm aware of all those cases in which you negotiated with our clients to save the company and its reputation. I know that you spent your own money to solve the issues my business had. Thank you.
When Anna enters the room, Mr. Louis smiles kindly.
How is your son? I know you're dreaming of getting that inheritance to help your kid. I also bet you want to lead a luxurious lifestyle and drive an expensive car. But you must understand that I have my own children and I need to take care of them.
Anna exclaims,
"Of course, I understand, Mr. Louis. I don't need all those riches. My only wish is for you to get better."
Eventually, Max comes to talk to Van. "Hey, Mr. Louis, I feel so bad about your condition. How can I help you?"
You've helped me enough, Max. You have literally saved my life countless times in drastic situations. But now, you can be sure that I won't reveal your secrets. I'll take them with me to the grave.
After talking to each of the candidates, Mr. Louis was left deep in thought. Should he leave his money to his eldest son, whose life was dedicated to pleasing his father? Should his daughter get the inheritance? Despite her image, she's actually bringing a lot of good to this world. Should Van forgive his youngest son, or should he report him to the police? Should he help Helen? After all, despite all her flaws, she's his oldest friend. Should he reward Peter, or should he help Anna ensure a bright future for her kid? Maybe he should show Max how much he appreciates his loyalty. The billionaire is at a loss. He drinks his medicinal tea and finally comes to a conclusion. He slowly and with great difficulty gets up from his bed and shuffles to the door. He opens it and sees 7 people. All of them are waiting for his verdict. So, what do you think? Who will Mr. Louis leave all his money to? Think twice, or maybe even thrice, since there are many worthy candidates. And now, get ready for the great reveal. Van Louis decides to leave all his inheritance to Anna. All because the billionaire is actually the father of Anna's son. Now the little guy and his mom don't need to worry. The kid will get the best education. A bright future awaits him. What Mr. Van Louie doesn't know, though, is that the boy's father is actually Max, the charming ex-criminal who stole Anna's heart many years ago.
Harry wakes up inside a simulated reality. An AI voice tells him that he needs to complete a series of tasks in order to get back to his normal life. 3 doors are projected in front of him. The first has a huge hammer that smashes anything that passes by it. The second door leads to a corridor filled with electric pipes. And behind the third door, there's broken glass all over the place. He has 2 seconds to choose one of the doors. Which one should he pick? He should choose the third door. Since he's wearing shoes, he'll be all right. He goes through that door and ends up in a cage. Inside, there are 3 rescue buttons. The red button will open the cage immediately, but it also simultaneously opens a cage with a hungry lion. The blue one will open the cage in 10 minutes, but it will also open hundreds of water pipes. The orange button will open the cage in 5 minutes, but it will also set the place on fire. Which of the buttons should he press? He should press the blue one. I mean, since it's a cage, it won't fill up with water. As soon as his cage opens, he is free to swim away. Then he finds himself at a crossroads. There are 3 different paths, and he needs to figure out which one to take. The first path is filled with smoking coal. The second path has frozen ice all over it. And the third path has pretty sharp nails. Which one should he choose? He should definitely choose the middle path. Even if the ice doesn't melt during daytime, it's pretty easy to go through it. It looks like Harry is doing pretty well, so the AI controlling the game decides to make the task a bit more difficult. It projects a scene where Harry is now in a hotel lobby. He has to figure out which of the lobby guys won't help him with his luggage. It's definitely the guy in the middle. If you look closely, the guy is transparent, which means he's probably a ghost. He can't touch physical stuff, so he won't be able to help Harry. Suddenly, the weekend in this virtual reality, and Harry is taken to a cabin in the mountains. There are 4 friends waiting for his arrival. They have a fun time, but at the end of the weekend, the cabin catches fire. One of his friends did it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who did it? It's the third guy to the right. He has a tiny gasoline bottle hanging from his belt. Harry suddenly appears in what looks like a wedding ceremony and discovers he's the one getting married. 2 women appear in front of him. They are dressed the same, but they both have their faces covered with veils. He needs to figure out who his true bride is. Can you help him out here? They look identical, but one of them already has a wedding ring. This can only mean that his true bride is the other lucky gal. For his next challenge, he's taken to a restaurant where a waitress shows him 4 glasses. Each glass is filled with the same liquid, water, and has an object inside of it. The waitress asks Harry which glass has more water than the rest. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out the correct answer? This shouldn't be too hard. The last glass is the one that has more water inside. The paperclip weighs almost nothing, while the other objects are way heavier. This means there is less water in all the other glasses. Harry's doing great thanks to you. Now, look at this image. There are 3 people about to parachute out of an airplane. Help Harry figure out who is in graver danger here. It's the first 2 people. You see, there's a heavy bottle in the last guy's backpack. If it falls down, it can break the other's parachutes. Uh-oh. Harry's stomach starts to growl after so much hard work, so he asks for some food. The AI controlling the game decides to create 2 chefs to bake him 2 different cakes. But here's the catch. Only one is safe to eat. Take a look at both of these delicious-looking cakes. Which one is safe? If you have a sharp eye, you'll know that the chef on the left is a fake, so you shouldn't eat his cake. The left chef has stains all over his shirt that look like blood. Plus, he doesn't have a badge on his shirt. He has a scratch over his eye, and he's hiding a syringe in his hand behind his back. There are just too many red flags here. Harry should go for the cake on the right. Well, it's time to take a nap, and Harry is taken to an old house. There are 3 rooms for him to choose from. Take a look at the picture. Which one should he choose? Well, so you see the hidden scenarios behind the curtains in the first room? That's a big no-no. As for the third room, notice how the AC is set to cold even though it's snowing outside. No to that, so he should definitely pick the second room. To sweeten things up a bit, Harry was enrolled into a baking competition. He was introduced to 3 judges, and they each told Harry what their favorite cake was. The first judge expressed his love for chocolate pies. Judge number 2 said he loved berry pies more than anything in the world. And Judge 3 said he was fond of pecan pies, also pronounced pecan. Harry immediately knew one of them was lying. Can you tell who? It was judge number 2. Do you see the chocolate stains and pie crumbles on the second judge's shirt? That could only mean he was enjoying a slice of chocolate pie before arriving at the competition venue. Harry needs to enter a new realm of the game, and for that, he needs to go through what looks like an airport. He didn't have any luggage with him, but he still needed to go through a security check. He went through the scanner, but he beeped every time he passed through it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out what was making him beep so much? It was the necklace chain dangling from the pocket of his jacket. Good eye if you spotted that. Passing through the different realms, Harry spotted a nice bakery, then decided to stop for some more nourishment. There were 3 options to choose from: a cupcake, a chocolate croissant, and a gingerbread cookie. Can you guess which one he picked? You don't need to be a genius to see that Harry is using gingerbread cookie socks. He loves them so much, which is why that's his usual pick. Harry arrived at the gate of the new realm, and there were 2 creatures guarding him, a lion and a unicorn. There was a little sign saying that the lion lied on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and that the unicorn lied on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Harry asked to get inside, and the lion said he needed to answer one of the riddles. He told Harry that he lied yesterday, and the unicorn said he also lied yesterday. Can you help Harry figure out which day of the week was yesterday? Well, let's see how this works. From what the magical creature said, they were both lying on the same day. So the only possible answer to this riddle is Saturday. If we consider yesterday was Saturday, that means the lion was telling the truth and the unicorn was lying. Finally, Harry completed all of his tasks and was allowed to go back home. Which of the 3 doors should Harry choose to get back home? Well, let's see. He should choose the door in the middle. It has a house emoji on it, which will probably take Harry directly back to the comfort of his home.